Billionaire's heart was broke after discovering what this poor girl bought with his card. Shock, Emily sprinted down the sidewalk, the fading sun spilling gold over Midwestern rooftops. Tired limbs screamed for rest after another grueling shift at the diner. Her mother's laughter flickered in her mind like an old movie reel. Any moment she could share that joy again felt like a bright star in a dark night. She just needed to buy a medical device that could ease her mother's pain. But all she had was a $20 bill tucked away for gas. As she rounded a corner, something caught her eye, a glint against the pavement. She crouched down, heart pounding as she picked up an expensive-looking credit card. The shimmering surface seemed to sparkle with promise. Desperation clouded her judgment. Just a quick swipe, she thought. She'd make it right. This could buy her mother some relief. The possibility hung heavy in the air, a quiet whisper amidst her chaotic life. Seconds later, Jonathan sat in his palatial home, wolfing down a slice of his father's legacy, a life dictated by money and meticulous plans. Just a few days post-funeral, he felt utterly alone, surrounded by wealth yet craving connection. His father had spoken often of giving back to the community. Jonathan had planned to remember him by helping, but profit margins and stock reports crept into his mind like greedy shadows. His father would have done it differently. News broke through the usual programming, rattling him awake. Someone had used his credit card, a medical device purchase, of all things. Confusion morphed into fury. How dare they? Underneath it all, he felt a twinge of concern. Didn't this stranger understand the world of privilege they had plunged into? Striding outside, he intended to confront whoever had taken from him. Emily reveled in a rare moment of triumph, the device arriving right at her doorstep. She had imagined her mother's face lighting up like a picnic on a sunny day. But that beam quickly dimmed when a sharp knock echoed through the house. Heart in her throat, she opened the door to find an irate Jonathan, standing tall and brimmed with disdain. "Why did you use my card?" he demanded, his voice shooting daggers. Emotions cascaded in her chest. Emily fought back tears, feeling small under the weight of his anger. I just wanted to help my mom," she stammered, words tumbling out. She's in pain. I thought I could buy this." His eyes softened for a split second, intrigued but still guarded. "You thought stealing would fix that?" "Stealing? No. You don't understand." Anger ignited within her. "You don't know what it's like to struggle or worry if you'll have enough for your next meal. You sit in privilege, I fight through each day." At that moment, the tension shifted. Two worlds collided, a billionaire raised on excess and a determined girl shaped by relentless hardship. They faced each other, heartbeats echoing the chasm that separated them. Misunderstandings loomed large, but within their confrontation, vulnerabilities creaked open like doors revealing new realities. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Jonathan's perception of social divides wavered. "But why didn't you ask for help?" he queried, visions of the life Emily led flooding into his mind. "Because pride can be a heavy burden, Jonathan." She fought against the tide of tears now threatening to spill. "Somewhere, there's someone who needs what I can offer." It was a tenuous thread, yet it wove an intricate tapestry that connected their two lives. What started as anger morphed into something more, a lesson cloaked in pain and determination. Just as hope flickered between them, a loud crash interrupted their moment, drawing the attention of two worlds destined to collide. Would they find a way to weave their stories together, or would the wall between them prove unscalable? Emily's gaze darted toward the source of the crash. A bicycle lay on the asphalt, its rider sprawled beside it, desperately attempting to push herself up. Panic gripped her heart as she shot a pleading look towards Jonathan, whose indignation morphed into instinctive concern. "Stay here," he commanded, immediately rushing past her to the girl in distress. Emily's feet felt glued to the floor, a part of her wishing to follow but another part reminding her of the words that had just been exchanged. Jonathan dropped to his knees next to the fallen girl, assessing the situation with a newfound urgency. "Are you okay?" His voice softened, a far cry from the anger that had filled it moments before. The cyclist groaned, "I think I twisted my ankle." Emily finally found her feet, crossing the threshold to join them. She knelt beside Jonathan, her heart racing. The bike was a mess, bent in ways it shouldn't be, but the girl seemed to be all right besides the visible discomfort. Jonathan carefully helped the cyclist sit up. "Let's take a look," he said, his attention shifting entirely to the girl. She couldn't help but notice how quickly his demeanor shifted. As Emily watched him, the soldier of privilege fading into someone kind and compassionate, a question tore at her insides. "Why did you rush in?" she whispered, the raw emotion catching her off guard. "Because sometimes, you need to put yourself in someone else's shoes," he replied without looking up, focusing solely on the girl in front of him. "The world can't just be about wealth and power." Cracks began to form in Jonathan's facade, striking her deep. Did he really mean that? "I'm Emily," she introduced herself, anxiety peeking through her voice. She turned to the cyclist. "You're going to be all right. We'll help you." "No. Wait." Jonathan interrupted, pulling out his phone. "I'm calling someone who can help." The cyclist winced, shaking her head. "No hospitals, please. My mom will freak out." Jonathan's phone hovered in the air, stunned. "But your ankle, it's okay. Just need some ice and it'll be fine," she insisted, her determination shining through. Emily found herself silently cheering this girl's spirit. "What about your mom?" Jonathan asked, brows furrowed. "You wouldn't understand," she replied, eyes narrowing. "Your kind don't have to worry. You don't know about sacrifices." A beat hung in the air, the weight of truth unfurling like a blanket. Jonathan shifted uncomfortably, glancing at Emily as if searching for support. The same instinct that had driven her to use his credit card now rushed back, more than pride, more than desperation, hope. "We can help each other," she murmured, figuring it out even as she said it. "You know what it feels like to be seen, to be scared, don't you? We can't just be strangers fighting each other." Jonathan looked at her, studying every word like it mattered. "What do you mean?" A new understanding sparked between them, a flicker of partnership forged on shared battles. "Maybe you can help this girl," Emily began, urgency building. "And maybe, just maybe, I can help you understand why I acted the way I did." Jonathan bit his lip, the hint of a smile breaking through his stormy expression. "All right. Let's help her first. Then we can talk." As they worked together to boost the cyclist onto her uninjured leg, warmth spread through Emily's heart. Could they really turn this moment around? But in the back of her mind, doubt crept in. Was this connection genuine, or just a fleeting response sparked by a shared crisis? As Emily stole glances at Jonathan, the pull of possibility began to outweigh the burdens of their pasts. As they exchanged awkward, tentative smiles, the ambient noise of the world around them faded, leaving only the three of them and the promise of something different. What would that promise look like out in the harsh light of reality? And could all three of their lives truly change forever? As Jonathan and Emily helped the cyclist to her feet, an awkward silence settled in the air. The girl leaned against Jonathan, clearly grateful but still wincing in pain. "I think I'm going to need a friend to walk me home," she managed, glancing up at him with hope in her eyes. "Of course," he said instantly, glancing at Emily as if seeking her approval. She felt a rush of warmth at the ease of the exchange, at how Jonathan seemed to genuinely want to help, his earlier anger even more distant now. "Maybe we can all walk together," Emily offered, stepping in closer to the girl. "What's your name?" "Chloe," the girl replied. Her smile was small but bright enough to lighten the tension that had enveloped them just moments ago. "All right, Chloe. Let us get you home," Jonathan encouraged, his compassion practically radiating off him. As Emily watched the two of them, she couldn't help but think she was witnessing a transformation one she had never expected from Jonathan. The trio started walking slowly, Jonathan supporting Chloe on one side, Emily trailing on the other. With every step, Emily could feel the walls she had built around herself start to soften. They passed parked cars, people rushing by on the street, yet in their little bubble, everything felt different. She looked at Jonathan, his focus solely on Chloe, and felt a flicker of something she hadn't felt in a long time. As they rounded a corner, Chloe let out a small laugh. "I can't believe I crashed my bike in front of a billionaire and a girl with a credit card that would make anybody jealous. Talk about embarrassing." Emily felt her cheeks flush. "It's not like that," she protested, but the truth of it stung. She had used Jonathan's money without thinking, wrapped up in her own worries. Now, standing next to him, helping someone who needed them, she realized how wrong she had been about their first encounter. "You made a choice," Jonathan spoke up, his voice steady. "There are always choices, even in desperation. We're here now." The weight of his words crashed over her. If only it were that simple. She had made choices based on fear and need, but now, in this moment, she felt like another choice was beckoning. What if we continued to help others? We could create something meaningful, something together, Emily proposed, surprised by her own boldness. Chloe raised an eyebrow. "You mean, like a community project? Helping kids learn to ride bikes so they don't crash like me?" "You're onto something," Jonathan replied, glancing at Emily with a hint of curiosity. "What if we took action instead of just waiting for something to happen? It could transform how we see not just ourselves, but the world around us." Emily's heart raced. The idea was exhilarating and terrifying all at once. Could they really do this? As she looked into Jonathan's eyes, the possibilities started to twist and swirl. She wanted to believe that their lives could converge into a purpose bigger than themselves. The moment felt electric, igniting something new. But even as the spark ignited, a darker thought loomed at the back of her mind. Was this desire for change just a byproduct of a fleeting crisis? They arrived at Chloe's house, a modest place with faded blue paint and overgrown flowers in the yard. Chloe turned, leaning on the fence for support. "Maybe it was fate that made me crash today." Her bright smile glowed again, even as pain flashed across her face. "Thank you both for being here." As they watched Chloe carefully make her way inside, Jonathan turned to Emily and took a deep breath. "I've been thinking maybe we have a lot to learn from each other, after all." Emily felt a smile creeping onto her face. For the first time, she could see a way forward, a potential path that could save them both. "What exactly did you have in mind?" she asked, her heart pounding in anticipation. Jonathan looked out at the street, determination etched on his face. "I think we need to find out how far this connection goes together. But first, we need to start somewhere." The world still buzzed around them, but for Emily, everything faded. Except the promise of moving forward. One question resonated in the air, heavy with significance. What would their journey look like, and could it truly transform their lives into something they had both been searching for? As Jonathan took her hand, that very moment could change everything or leave them with questions that lingered long after the day faded into night. Emily could scarcely breathe as she held Jonathan's hand. The warmth of his grip sparked something inside her, a mix of hope and apprehension she hadn't felt in years. Would this be the turning point they both needed? She could feel the world around them shimmer with possibility, yet doubt crept in like a shadow behind the bright facade. "Where do we even start?" she asked, her voice almost a whisper, filled with uncertainty. "Let us brainstorm," Jonathan said, his eyes lighting up with enthusiasm. "We can start a community bike program. Maybe something like Wheels for Kids. It wouldn't just be about bikes, it'd also teach kids how to be safe and responsible." He paused, searching her eyes, as if gauging her response. Wheels for Kids, Emily repeated, letting the name settle in her mind. It had a nice ring to it. I love it, she said, a smile breaking across her face despite her lingering fears. Great. Jonathan's excitement was infectious, and for a moment, Emily felt like they were kids again, fearless in their choices. We'll need some volunteers, local shops that can donate bikes, parents who want their kids involved, and maybe even some kids who've been through experience like Chloe. What about funding? She interjected, the weight of practicality pressing against her buoyant thoughts. And what if we can't get enough resources? Hurdles are part of every journey, Jonathan replied, his voice steady. But we can find a way through them. He glanced around, pretending to conjure inspiration from the bustling street. We can reach out to local businesses for sponsorships or even do a fundraiser. As his words took shape, she began to see the outlines of their idea crystallize into something tangible. She could imagine the joy on children's faces, the laughter, and the sense of community blossoming from their efforts. But a question tugged at her heart, edging out the enthusiasm. Could they really give back while still healing their own fractures? Jonathan seemed to sense her hesitation. Hey, he said softly, squeezing her hand. This is about more than just bikes. I want us to do something meaningful together. Emily looked at him, confusion swirling within her. The genuine warmth in his eyes sparked something deeper. Did she dare trust him again? The layers of their past conflicts and misunderstandings loomed heavily between them. But at that moment, mingled with the uncertainty was a surge of hope that maybe, just maybe, this was her chance to redirect her life. I've been lost for so long, she admitted, her voice hitching as emotion tightened her throat. I thought I could manage alone, but now I see I was wrong. Jonathan nodded, his expression earnest and open. We all need someone sometimes. We're stronger together, and we can help each other grow. The sincerity in his words eased the fragile walls Emily had built around her heart. Could this project heal them both? Would it ignite the potential she hadn't dared to tap into before? The questions hung palpably in the air as thoughts raced through her mind. Let us do it, she said finally, her voice steady. Let us make this happen together. He smiled, a wide grin full of promise. That's the spirit. But as they stood there, hands still intertwined, a sudden thought pierced her joy. What if the past returned to haunt them and shattered this new bond before it had a chance to grow? What if secrets and unresolved feelings surfaced amidst their effort to create something beautiful? The rush of emotions left her dizzy. Their journey together was just beginning, and with it came an uncertainty that felt daunting yet thrilling. She took a deep breath, ready to embrace whatever lay ahead. Just remember, Jonathan said, breaking into her thoughts, no matter what happens, we'll face it together. At that moment, Emily realized she wasn't just hoping for a fresh start. She was stepping onto a path filled with unknowns and potential. And beneath that promise loomed the lingering questions of where that path might lead. The air sparkled between them as they prepared to step into a future neither of them could predict. But the deeper concerns began to settle within her, stirring an urgency that kept her vigilant. What awaited them down the road of their shared journey? Would they be ready for the challenges ahead, and more importantly, could they truly heal without facing the ghosts of their past first? The next morning felt different. The sun streamed through her window, illuminating the dust particles dancing in the air. Emily woke with a sense of purpose, a feeling she hadn't had in a long time. Yet, as she brewed her coffee, doubts crept in again. What if they failed? What if their project was just another fleeting idea? A text from Jonathan brightened her mood. Let us meet at our favorite cafe. I have ideas. She could almost hear his enthusiasm through the screen. Still, her butterflies fluttered wildly while she dressed. Lately, every step forward was tangled with echoes of their shared past, the arguments, the unspoken words, the time apart that felt like a chasm. The cafe buzzed with the chatter of patrons, the smell of fresh pastries wafting through the air. Emily spotted Jonathan at a corner table, his expressive hands animatedly tapping on his phone screen. He glanced up, his face breaking into a warm smile that melted away her worries, if only for a moment. "Hey. I've been diving into local resources," Jonathan said, gesturing for her to sit. "I found a couple of shops willing to sponsor us. And I've set up meetings with local schools for outreach." As she absorbed his enthusiasm, Emily felt hope swell in her chest. This could work. But then, a nagging thought emerged. All this planning made her feel vulnerable, and she couldn't shake the fear of being let down. She brushed it aside, focusing on his ideas. "Think we could get them involved in choosing the bikes?" she asked, her curiosity piqued. "Give them a sense of ownership?" "Absolutely. I love it." Jonathan leaned forward, eyes shining. "We could even have design contests for the paint jobs. It's a great way to engage them." Emily could already see the colorful bikes, students proudly riding their creations. Ideas flowed freely as they shared laughs and exchanged bits of their childhood. Each moment worked to chip away at the walls that had grown between them. Just as Emily began to feel a rhythm in their conversation, she thought of Chloe, the young girl who had inspired this project. Memories of Chloe's bright smile and adventurous spirit sent a rush of warmth through her. But then came a wave of sadness. "I hope we can truly make a difference, you know," she said, her voice tinged with emotion. "I don't want this to be just another project that fizzles out." "Neither do I," Jonathan replied, sincerity etched on his face. "But I think we're in a good place. Just remember, I'm in this for the long haul, Em." His words lingered in the air, wrapping her in a blanket of reassurance. Yet, there was a vulnerability beneath his confidence, a piece of him that mirrored her own fears. "I think the more we get involved with these kids, the more we'll learn about ourselves," he added, breaking her introspection. "And maybe along the way, we can finally face what has been holding us back." For a fleeting moment, Emily felt the weight of every shared moment, every mistake, and all their unresolved feelings surface. The chemistry between them was palpable, charged with the possibility of what could change if they dared confront their past. As they left the cafe, the sun had dipped lower in the sky, casting a golden hue around them. Emily took a deep breath, her heart racing. "Are you ready for this?" she asked, a mix of excitement and trepidation in her voice. "More than ever," he replied, determination blazing in his eyes, but just then, a figure caught her eye, a flash of recognition that pulled at her gut and erased the warmth of the moment, leaving a chilling question hanging in the air. What if the shadows of her past returned, ready to disrupt everything they were trying to build? As she turned, a rush of familiar memories crashed over her. Questions piled up in her mind. Who was it? What did they want? Was she prepared for whatever came next? Emily's breath hitched in her throat as she locked eyes with the figure. It was Clara, her high school nemesis. Clara was as breathtaking as ever, effortlessly elegant, her sharp features framed by a cascade of glossy hair. Emily hadn't seen her in years, and the sight was enough to send a wave of unease flooding through her. "Emily!" Clara called, her voice sweet yet laced with an edge that made it clear they weren't old friends. "Wow, what a surprise to see you here." Every ounce of confidence Emily had built up over coffee with Jonathan drained away. The warmth of possibility faded into cold anxiety. "Hey, Clara," Emily managed, her voice barely above a whisper. She felt Jonathan's presence shift, his support steady beside her, but the moment felt fragile, ready to shatter at any second. "I didn't expect to run into you in our old haunt." Clara's bright smile contrasted sharply with her words. "Still chasing those big dreams, I see." Emily fought to keep her expression neutral. "Something like that." Clara's gaze flickered to Jonathan, gauging him, as if he were a piece in a game she was prepared to play. "And who is this? Your partner in crime?" Before Emily could respond, Jonathan stepped in, extending a hand with a knowing smile. "I'm Jonathan. We're working on a community project together." His tone was friendly, but there was an underlying tension that Emily could feel radiating from him. "Oh, community projects. Clara laughed lightly, but it didn't reach her eyes. How noble. The way she said it dripped with sarcasm. And what's the project about? You still haven't lost that knack for saving the world, have you? Emily's gut twisted. We're trying to get kids involved in cycling. It's about empowerment and gaining a sense of ownership. Cycling? Clara tilted her head, feigning interest. How quaint. I suppose that keeps them busy and out of trouble, right? The implication hung in the air, thick and suffocating. Clara always had a way of twisting the knife, slicing through any hint of confidence. Emily could feel Jonathan stiffen beside her, clearly sensing the tension, but she didn't want to retreat. Not now. Actually, it's about much more than that, Emily replied, finding her voice. It's about giving them a chance to express themselves, to belong to something bigger. Clara's smirk faded, replaced by a flicker of something like confusion. Sure. That sounds nice. But sometimes it's the bigger problems that need solving. A pointed look at Jonathan made Emily's skin crawl. Clara, I think we're happy where we are, Jonathan said, his tone steady. Oh, of course. Clara's smile returned bright but brittle. Just remember, sometimes the past has a funny way of catching up with you. Emily's heart pounded. Was that a veiled threat? Did Clara know something about her? About their past? Good to see you, though. Clara chimed innocently. Catch you later, Emily. She turned, strutting away with a mixture of grace and arrogance that had once intimidated Emily deeply. But not today. Today, Clara's words ignited a fire in her gut. What was that all about? Jonathan asked, concern etched on his face. It's nothing. Just someone from my past, Emily replied, trying to shake it off. But Clara's words lingered like an unwanted shadow. Jonathan studied her intently, and she could see the worry etched in his brow. Are you sure? You seem shaken. I'll be fine, Emily insisted, but doubt hung over her like a storm cloud. As they made their way home, the weight of their project felt heavier, tangible, daunting. What if Clara was right? What if their past really did come back to haunt them? But as they turned the corner, a determined flicker ignited in Emily's heart. She refused to let Clara dictate her future. It was time to confront not just the project, but whatever shadows lingered from their past. As they reached the park, the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows behind them. Emily stopped and looked at Jonathan. We need to talk about everything, even the stuff we haven't acknowledged. Jonathan nodded, understanding blossoming in his eyes. But just then, a screech from the far side of the park snapped their attention. A wild commotion shattered the peaceful evening. What new challenges lay ahead for them? Emily's thoughts scattered like leaves in the wind. She turned toward the screech, her instincts kicking in. The sound had come from a group of kids nearby, an overturned bicycle, a tangled mess of limbs, and the once serene atmosphere shattered. Stay here, Jonathan urged, as he sprinted towards the chaos. Without thinking, Emily followed, drawn into the urgency of the moment. As they reached the scene, a boy cried out, clutching his arm. Jonathan knelt beside him, checking for injuries, while Emily scanned the area. The sight of scattered bike parts and concerned onlookers sent her heart racing. Hey there, Jonathan spoke gently to the boy, his voice soothing. Can you tell me what happened? The child sniffled, barely able to catch his breath. I was trying to jump off the ramp and then I fell. Okay, Jonathan said, keeping his tone calm. You're going to be okay. Meanwhile, Emily noticed another boy lingering on the sidelines, his expression a mix of guilt and fear. It was my ramp, he confessed, his voice barely above a whisper. I didn't mean for him to get hurt. The weight of the moment settled heavy on Emily's shoulders. She crouched down to meet the boy's gaze. Mistakes happen. But it's important we help him, okay? He nodded, his eyes wide. As Jonathan checked the injured boy's arm, Emily felt a flicker of purpose igniting within her. This was what their project was about, not just cycling and empowerment, but community, support, and looking out for one another. It was about teaching kids how to handle their mistakes and lift each other up. "Let's get you sat up and see how bad it is," Jonathan said, carefully helping the boy to his feet. The crowd had started to disperse, replaced by concerned parents, and Emily felt the tension in the air ease slightly. "You're gonna be all right," she reassured the injured boy. "Just a little scrape." As the boy's breathing steadied, a sense of pride swelled in Emily's chest. They were making a difference, tiny but impactful. She turned to Jonathan, whose eyes gleamed with admiration. "You really have a way with kids," he said softly. "Thanks. I think they just need to know someone cares," she replied, the warmth of his praise wrapping around her like a cozy blanket, but just as the moment of relief was kindling, her phone buzzed in her pocket. Pulling it out, she noticed a message from an unknown number. Confused, she opened it. "Clara knows more than you think. Watch your back." A friend. Emily's heart skittered. The words twisted her stomach into knots. "Emily? You all right?" Jonathan asked, sensing her sudden shift in mood. I need to find out what's going on." "No, Emily. We just got here. We were doing so well." "Don't let Clara ruin this," Jonathan urged, concern etched on his face, but Clara's shadow loomed large. The message rattled through her mind, its implications haunting. Clara's words flickered like candlelight, a warning sign she couldn't ignore. "Sometimes the past has a way of catching up with you." Clara's voice echoed in Emily's thoughts, and suddenly the warm sense of accomplishment felt precarious. "Sometimes we have to face it head-on," Emily replied, determination rising within her. Jonathan took a step closer, his eyebrow furrowed in concern. "What are you thinking?" "I'm going to confront Clara. We need to put this to rest before it festers." The sun had fully set now, and darkness enveloped the park. Shadows danced around them, as uncertainty crackled in the air. With one last glance at the injured boy, she took a deep breath, preparing herself for what lay ahead. But just then, a piercing scream echoed from the other end of the park. Panic surged through Emily, a sense of dread washing over her. "What now?" Jonathan whispered, his voice tinged with fear. Something wasn't right. The evening had turned sinister, and dread filled the air. Emily gripped Jonathan's hand, the urgency commanding her next move. What waited for them in the dark? Emily's heart raced as she exchanged a worried glance with Jonathan. The scream struck oddly in the night, pulling the strings of her anxiety taut. What had happened? "Let's check it out," she urged, her voice breathless, already breaking into a run. They dashed through the park, the shadows threatening to swallow them whole. Emily's mind flooded with thoughts of Clara and the cryptic message, but every instinct pushed her to focus on the here and now. Another scream echoed, followed by the sound of rustling leaves. As they neared the source, they found a small crowd gathered near a cluster of bushes. Breaths hung in the cold air, each exhale a plume of worry. Emily squeezed through, Jonathan close behind. In the center, a young girl knelt on the ground, her face scrunched up in pain, a wet rag clutched in one hand. A nearby boy, his face pale, was shaking slightly. "She fell, she was climbing a tree," he stammered, tears pooling in his eyes. "I tried to stop her, but she wouldn't listen." The girl whimpered again, and Emily felt her heart constrict. She dropped to her knees beside her. "What's your name?" "Lily," the girl managed through ragged breaths. "It's okay, Lily. Can you tell me what hurts?" "My ankle, it feels weird," she croaked, glancing up at Emily with frightened eyes. Jonathan's voice was steady as he instructed the boy to keep the crowd at bay. "Everyone, please give her some space." "And you," Emily said, turning briefly to the boy. "You did your best trying to look out for her. That's what counts." The boy nodded but remained shaken. Lily, I'm going to take a look at your ankle, okay? Emily kept her voice soft, but all her senses were on alert. Time felt suspended, and the world outside the small circle of concern faded. She carefully lifted the rag around Lily's ankle, revealing a swollen, bruised area. It doesn't look broken, Emily said, trying to assure both the girl and herself, but we should get you some help. As she looked up, she caught Jonathan's eye, and the unspoken agreement passed between them. They needed to act fast. The park had grown darker, and an unsettling chill swept through the trees. Can someone call 911? Jonathan commanded, his tone unwavering. The urgency of the situation snapped the crowd into focused movement. Emily shifted her attention back to Lily. You're going to be all right, just hang in there. A bond formed in that moment, and Emily felt an ache in her heart for the little girl. She'd been just like her, once adventurous, fearless, and sometimes reckless. Suddenly, the shadows shifted, and Emily's senses heightened. A figure appeared in the distance, moving swiftly toward them. As it neared, recognition sent a shiver down her spine. It was Clara, her face taut with urgency. Emily. There you are. Clara exclaimed, her breath ragged. I need to talk to you. It's important. The words hung thickly in the air between them. Emily's pulse quickened with equal parts fear and annoyance. She barely had time to process her emotions when another scream sliced through the darkness, this one more piercing and dire. Lily! Jonathan shouted, turning his head back toward the girl, but the crowd had begun to murmur restlessly. Clara, not now. Emily shot back, feeling the weight of the world on her shoulders. Someone needs your help. Clara's eyes darted between Emily and the commotion. Then, just like that, an uneasy tension simmered. Where's the medic? Someone shouted from the crowd, aggravating the air even more. As the screams faded into an uneasy silence, Emily grabbed Clara's wrist, her resolve firm despite the unfolding chaos. We have to face whatever this is. Together. But first, we need to make sure Lily's okay. But as they focused on their task, an inscrutable sensation nestled within Emily, a feeling that whatever secrets Clara held were about to creep into view, and the storm was just beginning. What are you hiding, Clara? Emily whispered to herself, as uncertainty hung like dark clouds overhead. Clara hesitated, her eyes wide as she absorbed the scene. Emily's grip on her wrist tightened, an anchor in this whirlwind of anxiety. Focus on Lily, Emily urged, her heart beating like a drum. The girl's whimper cut through the night, every sound amplifying the chaos in Emily's mind. Jonathan knelt beside Lily, examining her ankle with care, his voice calm. You're doing great, Lily. Just a little longer. Emily watched him, grateful for his steady presence. The boy stepped back, a mix of guilt and concern on his face. Why did she climb so high? Emily asked, trying to bring reason into the moment. Kids do things without thinking. Because she wanted to see the stars, the boy whispered, his voice trembling. She thought they were closer up there. A flicker of a smile crossed Emily's face at the boy's innocence. It was a simple yet profound truth. She turned back to Clara, who stood motionless, her thoughts seemingly miles away. Clara, what did you want to tell me? Emily pressed, her impatience peeking through. But when she looked into Clara's eyes, she saw more than urgency, she saw fear. Emily, Clara started, the crowd's murmurs fading momentarily as the sound of an approaching siren broke through the tension. Just hold on, Lily. Help is coming. Jonathan reassured the girl, who was clenching her face with pain. As the lights from the ambulance flickered on the trees, illuminating the night, Clara stepped forward. Please, Emily, I didn't want this to happen. I didn't know. What do you mean? Emily's heart raced faster. She sensed Clara's fear was about more than just the girl. I filmed something today, something I shouldn't have. I thought it was just a prank. But it spiraled out, and now. Clara's words tangled together, and Emily felt a chill crawl down her spine. Jonathan glanced at Clara. "What did you see? What's happening?" Clara's hands trembled as she tugged them into her jacket pockets. "There's more out there than you know. Something bad has been happening in this park." "Something bad?" Emily repeated, her voice rising with concern. "Like what?" But before Clara could respond, a shout broke through the gathering. A woman was rushing toward them, her face pale. "I need to find my daughter. She was last seen here." The tension thickened in the air. Emily turned back to Clara, her heart pounding. "Clara, what did you get yourself mixed up in? This isn't just about Lily anymore." I think it's connected," Clara whispered, her voice barely audible amid the chaos. The sirens echoed in the distance, the flashing lights pulsing like a heartbeat. Emily felt a surge of fear for both Lily and the woman searching for her daughter. She took a deep breath, forcing herself to stay focused. "Everyone, we need to clear this area," Jonathan shouted, trying to organize the crowd. "Stay calm." Emily looked at Clara, determination hardening within her. "You need to tell me everything," she insisted. "We can't wait. If this is more serious, we have to act." But before Clara could speak, another scream pierced the night. Emily's gut twisted. The air felt charged as she glanced toward the sound, a chilling dread settling over her like a heavy fog. "Come on, we need to find out what is going on," Emily urged Jonathan, as they moved away from the cluster around Lily, their eyes scanning the shadows, searching for answers in the dark. Whatever had triggered this storm was spiraling out of control, and Emily knew they couldn't ignore it. "Are you ready?" Jonathan asked, his voice steady but taut with anticipation. Clara nodded, her expression a blend of fear and resolve. "I will tell you everything I saw. But we need to hurry." As they stepped deeper into the darkness, questions flooded Emily's mind. What secrets lay hidden in the night? Would they uncover more than they bargained for? And there, in the depths of the park, the answers beckoned like distant lights in the fog, illuminating a path that could lead them to truths darker than they had ever imagined. The park was alive with chaos, but for Emily, the noise filtered to a faint hum. Her heart pounded furiously as she scanned the shadows, both fearful and determined. The scream had shattered the air like glass, and the urgency of the moment surged through her like electricity. With Jonathan by her side, both looking for answers, she felt a blend of fear and courage rising within. "Stay close," Jonathan whispered, his eyes narrowing as they stepped past the crowd that surrounded Lily. They almost didn't notice Clara falling behind, her demeanor pulling them into a vortex of tension. "Clara, we need you with us." "What did you see?" Emily urged. "I saw something I shouldn't have," Clara's voice trembled, her gaze darting back towards their earlier chaos. "There were people lurking in the shadows. I thought it was harmless until I realized the scene before them shifted." A group of kids had gathered to watch as emergency responders tended to Lily. The confusion and worry etched in their faces mirrored Emily's own fears about the hidden dangers lingering just beneath the surface of their community. "People?" Jonathan pressed, concern etched deeper into his brow. "What were they doing?" They were trading something," Clara admitted, her voice barely above a whisper. "I thought they were just messing around. But I overheard them discussing plots they were concocting. It didn't sound good." Fear gripped Emily's heart. A knot of anxiety built within her as she recalled how the laughter and joy they had felt just moments ago had vanished, leaving stark dread in its place. She took a shaky breath. "You mean this is bigger than just kids being reckless?" "Much bigger," Clara nodded, her voice straining with urgency. I didn't mean for this to spiral. I thought it was just a dumb prank." A shiver passed between them, the truth weighing heavily in the air. Suddenly, to their left, a flicker of movement caught Emily's eye. A figure darting swiftly through the trees. There. She pointed, adrenaline sparking. Jonathan nodded, leading the way as they crept closer. If there is something truly happening, we need to find out what it is. Heart racing, Emily felt a rush of determination overcome her simmering fear. Uncertainty lay on the path ahead, yet clarity shone through their bond was tested, but it had the power to unveil whatever sinister threads tangled through the night. As they approached the edge of the trees, the shadows danced like specters caught in the harsh light of the moon. The sound of hushed whispers drifted toward them, weaving uncertainty with suspicion. "We need to stay quiet," Jonathan advised, moving stealthily while Emily stayed close, her breaths shallow and frantic with anticipation. Peering through the branches, they caught sight of a group, cloaked in darkness but illuminated enough for their intentions to become clear. Emily's stomach twisted as she recognized a few of the kids from the park, their faces pinched with worry. They huddled in a circle, exchanging what appeared to be small packages. "Are they exchanging drugs?" Clara gasped, eyes wide as realization crept over her. "What kind of trouble have you brought upon us?" The words hung heavily between them, igniting a fire of anger and fear. Emily's mind raced back to the message she'd received earlier. Clara's tenuous grip on the situation sent a jolt of electricity down her spine. "This isn't about blame," she hissed. "We need to stop whatever is happening." Suddenly, one of the kids, a sturdy boy with a nervous glance, spotted them. His eyes widened in shock, and before they could react, he bolted. "Hey!" Jonathan shouted, taking off after him and drawing attention to their presence. In an instant, chaos erupted. The other kids scattered, fading into the night, but not before Emily and Clara managed to connect eyes with the startled boy. "Wait!" Emily cried, desperate. "We're not here to hurt you." But the boy vanished like the shadows, merging with the night as Jonathan turned back. "What now?" he asked, panting, his frustration palpable. "We can't let this go. Let us head back." "Regroup," Emily suggested, her heart racing. "We need to inform the authorities immediately. This isn't safe." As they retraced their steps, the weight of what they had discovered settled over them. Uncertainty clung to their skin like fog, but amidst it grew determination, a pulse of purpose driving them forward. Once they reached the main area again, the scene had changed. Emergency responders had taken Lily away, leaving a thin line of worry etched into the faces that surrounded them. Emily spotted parents frantically searching for their kids, callously unaware of what lurked beneath the safety of their community. "Let us find a way to communicate this," Jonathan urged. "We can't let fear stop us. We can change this, together." "Together," Clara echoed, her voice steadier now, laced with newfound conviction. The shadows no longer seemed threatening, but rather a canvas for their resolve. They had stumbled into darkness, and from it would arise a light, but what that light turned out to be remained uncertain. Confirmation soared between them as they combined their resources, determined to act before the darkness claimed another life, and for the first time, hope felt real, coursing through their veins, igniting a spark to protect their community no matter the cost. They were more than just individuals, they were allies, sharing not just the unraveling threads of their pasts but the potential of their future as well. "Let us move," Emily said, her eyes drawn to the horizon. The road ahead shimmered with promise, no matter how unseen it may be. Change awaited. And they were ready to embrace it. You need to subscribe now to our channel to not miss out on more exclusive stories like this one. Leave a like now to fuel the algorithm and keep us going strong. Comment below your thoughts and feelings about this pulse-pounding ending. And don't wait not even one more second, share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. This is the moment to show your support.